The title of my book is The Inescapable Lure of the Rabbit Hole. And it's basically a journey where I realized how stupid the world is, which is where the rabbit hole is. I started off writing about 12 years ago. I can't write or use my hands or what have you. So I write voice to text. So that may not be interesting at all. But for me, you know, the sound of my poem is like a bas-relief in a painting. It's part of it. And so I have, you know, I don't really have very many, any kind of specific format. It's just the way it comes out. I started off by observing things. And I'll just pass this around because this will be the second poem. I only have a few. And then I wondered what went into the scene that I was observing, that I started writing about. And so my mind started to think about what about the world could create these scenarios that I was seeing. And so that was my journey. And I'll try to select some poems that are representative of this. Some of them are very short, so you may not hear them before they end. This one here is a picture, obviously, taken by a friend. The poem's called Hungry. He held this plea written on a cardboard square as he sat in his place on a mat of dried, cracked, discarded plastic bags, an odor of sour clothes and dirt-encrusted beard. No light in his empty eyes, hidden under a baseball cap inscribed Cheetah, a gentleman's club that hinted a past illusion, like a dream once held. We don't know if he was a father, a vet, a lover. We don't know if he married the woman who would divorce him. He took all of this or none of this when he faded into this poem. Thank you. And then, of course, being an old politically active person, I don't like wars. And I am a veteran. I still don't like them. A moment in Iraq. Burnt flesh, the arid desert. His sun-cracked eyes try to speak, to survive, to seek refuge 7,000 miles away. He searches for reason, for someone's sweet smile 7,000 miles away, where red, white, and blue lizard kings play their slimy con game with the war on the Constitution, where their pawns mouth metaphors of values to keep the cause alive so that the wars can survive. Just let me know when 5 minutes go by and thank me, okay?
5 minutes?
That's my wife. She tells me everything I have to do.
Oh, yeah, right.
That was a great poem.
But when I first got sick, you know, it was kind of like, God, gotta go to these doctors. So I had to document it. Gotta hope. I got something wrong inside, and hope helps cope with that uneasiness I write each day. My doctorologist version of hope is to order a colonoscope, endoscope, and selectoscope for a cinemascope of my innards, which I fear is populated with squirmy, slimy lizards. Found poem, newspaper article. Virginity is here to stay. Lost your virginity? Don't worry, you can get it back. Dutch surgeons have perfected an operation for those who are no longer virgins, but wish to appear like virgins. Fortunately, the operation is easily reversed. poem took its first breath, I was able to smother it before it cried, before it lamented lost souls, before its conceit of epiphany, before it fell in love with itself, before it told you the wisdom you already knew, before it revealed the secrets of things unknowable, but not before it got this far. A date with my poem. That's what happens when you're lonely. A date with my poem. Did you ever begin a poem excited like a teen, ready for a date with the girl of his dreams? Each word tingles, every line a promise, the warmth of her skin. Your pulse leaps as you finish your poem, and the promise of a second date, and like the promise of a second date, you reread the poem, only to find that you were stood up. This is one of those poems. And then sometimes I wax a little philosophical. Finishing. My unfinished poems, which are most of them, are waiting for whatever they need to be finished. I read them again, one after the other, expecting to catch a glimmer into the evasive. Life is like that too. Excuse me. Life is like that too, trying to get glimpses of what's there, like the anticipation of what's around the corner in a busy city. And I sit here, I look to the unfinished, the impossible burden of knowing that the illusions that lie around the corner. I guess you didn't like that one.
You gotta read it again.
Nah. Okay, time to go. I transitioned to some prose poetry after a while because it gives a different voice. It's kind of fun. And even though they're very serious, they come across as light, which actually, humor allows seriousness to penetrate. People don't put up a barrier. So it's time to go. When leaves turn yellow, then brown and dry, they know it's time to go. Same way with me. I feel I know it's time to go. I had a good life, and now it's time to go. I was born on a Tuesday, so I picked the next Tuesday. But my cousin died, and it would be too selfish to saddle a family with another. The following Tuesday, my best friend had a heart attack, so no way I could burden his family with my plan. When the smoke cleared, I picked the first available Tuesday, but forgot it was my son's birthday. Tuesdays are not a good plan. I thought, maybe I'm not ready. I thought the weight of waiting is heavy. What to do? Make a bucket list. And why not? I'll finish those things and it won't matter if it's Tuesday or not. When I'm done, I'm done. A short list will be perfect. I want to finish my self-help book, How to Overcome Happiness. I want to catch a rainbow before it forms. I want to sneak up and take a surprise selfie. I want to remember the future. Then I'll be ready. No one likes this poem, but it's one of my favorite. Looking for my poem. It was there where I buried it, stuck to the hair of my neighbor's dog, the once barking canine misfit. I happen to be a big fan of Kafka, so there's a lot of existential stuff in my writing. And this one is called Existential Eggs and Me. Here you are, once again wide awake in the fear of the night. You toss and turn in the silence and in the dark that seems to know something that you do not. You wonder the why and what of who you are and who you are not, uncertain of what matters and what does not. But then you roll over and touch the smooth, silky skin of your lover. Well, maybe sometimes it doesn't matter what doesn't matter. All right.
Keep going.
Not even halfway.
Oh, okay. Resignation letter.
Oh,
I wrote a letter of resignation to a company I did not work for. They searched the HR department for my file. They searched the archives for my file. When they couldn't find it, they had to create a new file. And then they could call me in for an exit interview, which they did. And I dressed appropriately. Blue suit, red tie, polished black shoes. They asked why I was leaving. I told them that I felt overlooked. They expressed regret, said that I was not a troublemaker, wished me luck, and gave me 2 weeks severance pay. Although I'm old, I don't always write about arthritis, so I'm getting into the new things. This is about Facebook. Facebook, the virtual self. It was the pathway into her heart, a way to share her life, her activities, thoughts, philosophies, and favorite things laid out neat and unchallenged. Then Facebook went down bit by bit. Her timeline disappeared, and so did she. Now, Brenda, you were talking about high school and kids back then? This fits. Wooing her. Someone told her penis size is proportional to foot size, so I bought shoes too large. Okay. By the way, most of the things in here, except for that last one, actually happened. This is a little bit longer. It's Adventures in Phone Automation. You know, Kafka said believing in progress does not mean that believing any progress has been made. I called in my prescription renewal and followed the instructions. Pressed 1, then 3, then 4, and put in my prescription number. And heard the message, it's too early to pick that up. Press the pound key to speak to your pharmacist. I did. He says, it's ready now. I said, that's faster than too early. I can't wait to tell Stephen Hawking. I called my doctor at St. Limbo Hospital and said I was sick. The auto operator gave me 3 options. Press 1 to talk to the nurse. Press 2 to make an appointment. Press 3 to leave a message. I pressed 1. The message says the nurse is with patients at this time. Leave a message. So I pressed 3 to leave a message, but the recording says go to the ER if you are sick. I went. They checked me over and told me to see my doctor. I am caught in an automated cycle with no exit, and I've traveled back in time. I may as well kill myself, so I called suicide prevention. I followed the instructions, pressed number 1, then number 3, waited, 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 waited. My first poem, I read, it's just an image, and I just decided to, this is when I decided to write. I never took poetry, but I just saw this scene and I thought I had to write about it. It's just totally image. It's called Running on a Rainy Day. My mind swims in the fresh scent of damp leaves, moist beads clinging to the peach fuzz on her thighs as she runs through the misty droplets, hair swaying in tempo of her stride. My mind swims with thoughts of what could be as I listened to the rhythm of her sweet breath as she passed me by into my past. And then I went home and told my wife about this, and she beat the shit out of me. I almost didn't write anymore. Okay, 2 more. Dignity. Sometimes I think words or conventions are meant to control people. Dignity. Etched in her headstone. She lived with dignity, it said. I asked my dad what that meant. He said she didn't complain, didn't lament, so that those about her didn't suffer her torment. Years later, when my wires crossed and shorted and acid coursed through my veins, could I fully understand what dignity meant. Don't show your warts or cry your pain, but I say screw 'em. I will not go gentle into their good night. Gee, I'm reading faster than I thought.
Quit skipping them.
Question?
Quit skipping them.
No, I actually. All right, I'll finish with this. Because, I mean, why not? Because Google is my big brother. I mean, Google is everything, right? Google is my big brother. Two parts. Google is my big brother. Google is so convenient, it seems to know everything. I can find anything. And they remember and keep me posted on things of interest, so I don't have to remember what I forgot. I looked online for file cabinets, couldn't make up my mind. Every time I now go Googling, file cabinets ads pop up. The same for new cars. I searched for years, ads pop up, even restaurants. I made reservations yesterday at an Italian restaurant after a search for Italian restaurants where I did not make reservations. And it's amazing that Google goes out of its way to watch over me, but it's not perfect. For some reason, it keeps sending me ads for erotic or oriental massages. But Google leads to confusion. One time I thanked Google. Try it, just put it in thank you and see what happens. Yeah, that's what I did. I thanked Google and it was confused. It responded with ads from greeting card companies, flower delivery companies, and a list of how to say thank you in 357 languages. So I picked one, Mandarin. A flood of ads appeared, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Miami, 4 restaurants in Hollywood, 7 proposals for marriage, and 21 pop-ups written in Mandarin, which I can't read, but assumed they acknowledged my thank you. Or so I thought, until I used Google Translate to understand the last one, which turned out to be an ad for an erotic oriental massage.